welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm Bess Hawthorne, and I'm so excited you're joining me today. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Anna Stoltzfus, and she is a homeschooling mom of 8 kiddos under 12. The youngest 2 are twin babies. She and her husband live in Pennsylvania, and she and her husband Dale are also on the church's hospitality home rotation in their church. And so we're going to hear a bit about that. They have as many as 30 people over at one time. They host psalm sings. Dale's grandmother lives with them and has dinner with them every night. They also have had a member from their church live in a camper outside their home for a few months. So they practice hospitality in many ways. Her friend Melissa recommended her for the podcast, and I can see why. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Bess. I'm glad to be here.
You also wrote that you enjoy having people in your home and believe it's an important and forgotten part of being in community with each other. And you and your husband together host singles, couples, your family, and have had over 100 people in your backyard. And even you were in a camper for a short time and still had people over. So tell us a little bit about how you do hospitality in your lives.
We enjoy having people in our homes. Both our dads were pastors at different times. And we just saw our parents modeling that. And so just kind of like, well, that's what you do. And then after we got married, we didn't do it right away. Just so, like we had a kid right away. But then after our second one was born, my husband's like, you know what? This is important. We had been married for 3 years at that point, and we had only been invited to families' houses, which is great. But like nobody else in the church invited us over. And so we were like, you know what? We don't invite anybody over either, except family. So maybe we should start doing it for everybody. And we did. We just started small, and yeah, it's just gotten bigger since. As time goes on, we've done different things that make it easier, and yeah, we just enjoy doing it and find it's very important.
For sure. Tell me a little bit about the hospitality home rotation. What is the hospitality home rotation in your church?
So we go to the CREC Church All Saints right in New Holland, Pennsylvania, and they have a list that you can sign up to be on where once a month or twice a month, depending on how many people have signed up, it could be once every 3 months, you can host people in your home, and you never know how many people are coming. So it's kind of a guessing game of how many visitors are we having this Sunday?
So it's for people who are coming to church that Sunday that are new to the church.
Yes. Or people that have been, they've been off and on visiting, and you see that they've been coming, and so you invite them because you don't know them yet. And also, a lot of times I'll invite people from church to make sure that we have at least one family or 2 families over to eat the food that, I've made, because it's awful if you go to all that work and then you don't have any visitors. So now what do you do?
Right. That makes sense. And it would help to create conversation as well. If you have some people who've been there for a little bit and can help you carry the conversation and interact with your guests, especially if you're busy in the kitchen.
Yes, it definitely does help with that. And normally I am busy in the kitchen. It also helps having kids.
Absolutely. What are their age ranges?
My oldest just turned 13, and my youngest will be turning a year in August. So not too much longer.
That is so much fun. Those are great ages. And as they get older and older, more and more will be able to help do all the things.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll make life easier.
Yes.
When it comes to having people over, they all can just scatter and do different jobs, and then poof, it's done very quickly.
Yes.
It's so nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's exciting to have friends over as well. I mean, when they get to have families over from church, there's kids involved typically.
Oh, yes. They love it very much. And our kids actually encourage us to do hospitality all the time. They're always asking, when are we having people over? Well, we just had people over last night. Well, when's the next time?
That's great. Tell me about having your Dale's grandmother live with you.
So we were originally living in Colorado, and Dale's grandfather passed away in the end of 2020 from COVID complications. He didn't go to the hospital early enough, and he ended up with pneumonia and then sepsis and passed away within a week, 2 weeks of being in the hospital. And Dale's dad afterwards realized that his dad had a whole bunch of businesses going on and different things. And he runs his own business, Dale's dad does. And he's like, I can't do all this. I have my own business, which I love, and I really don't want to stop that to take care of his dad's estate. So he talked to Dale and said, okay, I have a job for you if you want. And grandma said, and I have a house you can buy because they had a rental property. And then Dale's dad's also like, oh, and there's a CREC church that's only half an hour away. And Dale and I are like, okay, that's God saying, all right, it's time to move back to Pennsylvania. So we did.
Okay, so Grandma and Grandpa were in Pennsylvania.
Yes, yes. No, Dale's
Okay.
is from Pennsylvania. Like he grew up 5 minutes away from where we live now.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So yeah, it's really cool being back.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Well,
So
what a great opportunity and what a blessing to have his grandmother with you. I'm sure she absolutely enjoys the activity and the fun chaos that comes with having 8 children in the home.
oh, she very much loves it. Yeah. So originally the plan wasn't for her to live with us right away, but we had told both of them a number of years before he passed, like, hey, you know what? When you get older, don't go to home. Come live with us. And they both were like, no, no, we're going to go to this home. And we already know most of the people that are going to be going there. We just want to be there. And then a
Uh-huh.
few years before, like a year before he passed, Grandpa and Grandma listened. They were like, you know what? I think maybe we will after after we can't get around ourselves. Yeah, we'll come live with you. And then when Grandpa passed, Grandma says, I built an apartment on the end of your house within a year. Is that okay? Yeah, of course it is. We'd love to have you. And then it took us about 9 months to get here because my husband was a property project supervisor, and he was in the process of building a car wash. And so we had to wait till that job was done before we moved back here. So the conversation started the beginning of January, and then we moved here in the middle of November. And so in April we flew out, we saw the house, we said, yes, we definitely want it. We love the house. It just flows well. It's just perfect. And in April she's like, maybe I should start building it now, my apartment, and then I'll move in a couple years. And then by July, she was talking about moving in, and she ended up moving into the house before we did. It was done before our house was ready. So it was kind of funny, just the progression of no, we don't want to maybe in a few years to now. Yeah, she lives with us and does not like it when we leave her for extended amounts of time because she says it's too quiet.
Yeah, she's gotten used to having people around. I'm sure it is very, very quiet when it's just one person by themselves.
Yes.
When she lost her husband, that I'm sure that is a huge adjustment, and you still want to be independent and think, well, that's what I'm going to do. And then it's good that she learned to change her mind and she
Yes.
really loves being with you.
Yes. Well, we love having her here and just seeing the intergenerational with my kids, with their great grandmother. I mean, they call her grandma, but with their great grandmother it's been so cool to see. Something that,
Yeah,
yeah, wish
just a
that,
blessing for both of them.
yeah, yeah, it is. Yep.
Well, that's wonderful. And you also lived in a camper for a bit. Was this why you were building your house?
No, so our house was already built. We just moved, we just redid floors and painted walls and stuff like that. We lived in the camper when we lived in Colorado. So housing in Colorado is outrageous. So for about 6 months, we lived in an apartment while we were waiting for our camper to get there, and it was costing us over $2,000 a month for a two-bedroom.
Oh my word.
Yes.
That is ridiculous.
So yeah, moving into the camper is definitely cheaper. So we lived at campgrounds, we lived at friends' houses where we just plug in, and then we lived here on our property from November through March until our house was ready for us to move into it. So altogether, we lived in it for about 3.5 years. And yeah, we continued doing hospitality. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I stop, I'm never going to start again, right? Because
Right.
so
Hey, if you can do it out of a camper, you can do it anywhere.
yes,
If you
yes.
can pull that off, you are doing great.
And with the camper, we could only have about 5 to 7 people inside, depending on the size of the people. Our kids were still young, so like they could kind of fit in all the crevices. And then during the summer, we would just have people and we would have them over and we'd have outside. Like we had our
Yeah,
picnic
just a big
table.
picnic outside.
Yeah. So if you can do it anywhere, even if your apartment's small, We've met at parks before with people who lived, an hour the opposite side of church, and we lived an hour the other way. It was 2 hours if we were going to each other's house. We just met at a park near church after church and hung out and had a picnic together. So yeah, there are different ways to get around small spaces.
For sure. Well, I love how you're bringing in different types of hospitality, including long term hospitality. A lot of times when we think of hospitality, we think of having somebody for dinner or food, but it can be exercised and practiced in so many different ways. And we've talked about lots of them on here. Even just having Dale's grandmother live in your home or live, I guess, in her apartment attached to your home is a wonderful form of hospitality. The fact that she's able to visit with your children, eat dinner at your table, and just be welcome all the time is also a fabulous form of hospitality. Well, let's jump into how you do it now, some practical tips. I especially want to hear what you love to serve when people are coming over for dinner.
I happen to be one of those that is last minute, or I decide I want to use a new recipe. I am unfortunately not always a planner. It normally is fine. But there have been some times where it's like, why did I decide to do this new meal and I've never tried it before?
Well, with as many children as you have, you probably cook so much. You really can just wing it. You probably are used to throwing things in a pot and it turning out wonderful.
My mom was the queen of leftovers, turning leftovers into amazing food. Like there was a time when we were living at somebody's house, they made food for us, and it was the saltiest, worst food that we had
Oh
ever,
no.
and nobody could eat it. Like it was that bad. And my mom sees, a couple days later, she's like, "This is just gonna get thrown away." My mom has 9 kids, and so she's like, "We can't waste food." So she takes it and she turns it into the most amazing soup. And the lady that we were living with was over, she's like, I don't know how you did it. This is just the best soup I've ever had. And it was so salty. How did you do it? And yeah, just things like that. It's like I learned from my mom how to take food and make it taste good.
Just think through, what does it need? What do I need to add? That reminds me of the Everlasting Meal cookbook. Well, they have a cookbook now, but there was just a book before. Probably had recipes in it too. She was always talking about how to use what you have and create and just keep going. That's what that sounds like.
Yes, actually, a lot of times when I'll be making soup, I use a lot of leftovers. It's like, oh, here, I'll just throw that in, and then people want my recipe.
You're like, well, I don't exactly have a recipe. That's tough. That reminds me, I just created a recipe. I've been making it for so many years for chicken and rice, and it sounds so rich. Chicken
Yeah,
and rice.
yeah,
Anybody can make chicken and rice. And my daughter in law told me that she needed my recipe because she'd been thinking, I want to make chicken and rice. It's one of Lex's favorite dishes. It's my daughter in law that's here in town, and
okay.
she said, I would pull up chicken and rice on the internet and make a recipe here or there, and they were just terrible. Like, you have to have the recipe.
Yeah,
But then when I went to give it to her, I'm like, I don't actually have a recipe. I usually just look at what it looks like. Does it have enough chicken? Does it have enough sauce? Does it need some extra cheese?
yes.
So I was determined to go ahead and write down a recipe. I was recently on someone else's podcast and she was asking for my signature dish. I'm like, well, I don't know what my signature dish is. I love making all kinds of things,
Yes.
but we had just recently had chicken and rice at a son's request. He was like, Mom, I love your chicken and rice. So I created a recipe. I'll have to post it because I finally created one, gave it to my daughter in law, and said, I think this is it. I think. But what I had to do is really, as I was making it, measure what I was like. Instead of just chunking chicken in, I would have to put it in a measuring cup, and it felt so strange.
Yes. Yes.
Which is unlike me because usually I am very scientific. I just have to have exact measurements, but I've gotten better. I've gotten away from exact measurements where you're using your brain. You're figuring out what does this need? What would make this taste better? But anyway, if you do make this chicken and rice recipe, it's very forgiving. Literally, you can change amounts based on what you have. A little more of this, a little less of that. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect by the recipe, but the recipe is really good.
That's great.
So back to your recipes. What would be your number one thing that you would pull out?
I actually love making lasagna. And
Oh,
I've
lasagna's
been
good.
told by people that it's unlike most lasagnas they've ever had. And the secret
Okay. Well,
is
this is reminding me of the chicken and rice. This is different than everyone else's chicken and rice. We need to hear your famous lasagna. Tell us about it.
so the two things that really make it stand out is homemade noodles and chunks of cream cheese in it.
Oh my word. Homemade noodles and chunks of I'm sold. I'm sold. I need this recipe immediately. It's going on the menu plan.
It's
All right.
one that
Keep telling us about it.
my mom made it growing up, and I just thought, that's how lasagna is made. And then when we started hosting people, I would make it, and they would be like, "Oh, what did you make? How did this lasagna is the best lasagna I've ever had? How did you make it?" I mean, it's my mom's recipe. It's just how she always
Which
made
those were
it.
the best ones.
So yeah, it's just simple lasagna, but yeah, the homemade noodles. Growing up, we just made regular noodles. Now I make sourdough noodles, which are I think they're even better.
Wow.
So yeah, just make the homemade noodles, and they're so fast because you don't have to cook them beforehand. You just roll them out, put them in the pan, cut them to the right size, and then you put your layers on. I do lots of meat because my husband's diabetic, so we focus really heavily on high protein, which is good
Hmm.
for us anyway. But lots of that. And now a lot of times I'll do ricotta cheese or cottage cheese along with and always chunks of cream cheese. Because if you don't put the cream cheese in, it's just not quite the same. You bite in and it's just that delicious, creamy, that like melts in your mouth kind of thing. And growing up, that was the recipe that I always requested for my birthday because it was my favorite dish.
Okay, that tells you something right there. If that's the birthday request, we have to have this recipe. The homemade noodles, do you have to have a special tool, obviously like a pasta roller to roll out the noodles, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so I the Atlas pasta machines are the best. They're Italian, so of course they know how to make their pasta machines well. And yeah, it's just simple. You don't need extra attachments. All you need is the main rolling one. I picked the one I have up off of Facebook Marketplace for $20. Came with all these extra attachments, ravioli, then linguine, the spaghetti noodles, all of that. I hardly ever use those. I use just like for the lasagna noodles, just roll them to the thickness you want, which normally is like 5, 6, depending on how thick you like your noodles. And yeah, just put them in. And yeah, it's a very easy gadget to get. I just keep it up in my cabinet when I don't need it.
Okay, this sounds amazing. I do not think I have made homemade pasta before. Well, I'm sure I have, but I don't have a roller, so I don't think I've made anything like what you're talking about. This is a goal in life now. I have to try this. My family is not a big lasagna fan, but I think it's because we've made the other types of lasagna. They have not had homemade noodles. So I will definitely try your recipe out on them.
All right. Well, I do have it written out, so I could send it to you if you want, because I've had other people.
Absolutely.
So I actually had to write it down like you.
Right. You had to sit there with a measuring cup. Well, I do post recipes on comeoverfordinner.com. So anything we talk about, if at all possible, I collect all the recipes and post them there so that people can recreate them if they want to. So you can look, there's tabs on the top, and one of them says recipes. And that's the one that has the blog post with all of your links of recipes and items, favorite kitchen items you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then you can also find names under the index.
Okay.
Like if you're just remembering lasagna, okay, and if it's beef, you'd go to the beef section and find lasagna. So,
Yeah. Hold on.
anyway, what sides do you serve with lasagna?
A lot of times, so people like to bring stuff. They'll ask you, "Can I bring anything?" And I always hate telling people no, because I know I like to bring stuff, and I like to be, said, "Yeah, hey, sure, bring something." And here's something simple, something that's not difficult to put together. I a lot of times just say, "Hey, you can bring a salad," or I'll give them an option. "Hey, you can bring salad or dessert." So they have a choice of, "Oh, okay, well, I don't really feel like making dessert today. But I have green salad in my fridge. I can just take that. It's simple and easy." So yeah, just something simple on the side. And a lot of times I'll make homemade rolls to go with it. And of course, lots of fresh butter on that.
Oh, yeah. You are in Pennsylvania. Do you make your own butter or do people in the community make their own butter? I know where you are, it's just an amazing place for fresh cheese and all
Yes.
kinds of delicious food.
Butter, yeah. My husband's father runs a business where they buy food and resell it that's either going out of date, mislabeled, labels put on upside down, and all that. So I actually got truly grass-fed butter, which is like $10 a pound, and I paid $2, $4 a pound for it. So that's it
Wow.
for right now. But yes, I have made butter in the past. I grew up on a farm, so we had our own milk cow, did all of our butter, ricotta cheese, all that stuff like that.
That sounds amazing. Do you have a favorite recipe for homemade rolls?
Yes, I do. It's from the La Leche League cookbook. It's called Jiffy Hamburger Rolls, but it makes hamburger buns, hot dog buns, and dinner rolls. And they come out light and fluffy. I also grind my own grain, so that's another reason why they come out light and fluffy. So it doesn't always turn out the same when you don't use fresh ground flour.
Okay, eating at your table is a treat. I mean, homemade noodles, freshly ground flour for the rolls. I need to step up my game. That sounds amazing. So, how do you, I mean, obviously you run your flour through a grinder, but what do you buy in order to do that?
I buy just the grain. You can store the grain. I mean, they've found grain in tombs that they have started again and grown that kind of grain. So it will last forever. You just put in a bucket with an oxygen and seal the bucket, and it will last forever.
That is so interesting. Where do you buy the grains like that?
There,
What kind
you
of
can get it.
place do you go?
I know for a lot of people, they use Azure Standard. You can order grain through Azure Standard. Here in Pennsylvania, we have a place called Dutch Valley, and they get their wheat in from Wheat Montana, which is, I think, the top wheat company in the US. And yeah, you all live close to Wheat Montana. They have several different bakeries. If you're driving through Montana, they have these bakeries that you can stop at where they have done fresh ground flour for all of their pastries, and they are amazing because we drive through Montana fairly often. So it's really
I
cool.
need to pay attention to that because I'm sure they advertise it. If you look up their website, they would
Yeah,
say that. So I need to stop at one of those.
yeah. I know there's one in Missoula. That's one of the places we've stopped, and then I think there are several other places as well throughout Montana.
Do you have to have a special grinder or can you use a blender or
You
what
can
do you
you
use?
can use a blender, however, it doesn't get it as fine. So the finer the flour is, the fluffier your stuff turns out. Whereas
That
more,
makes sense.
it ends up more dense. So yeah, I use Pleasant Hill Grains. I use their grain mill. They have several different grain mills, and their warranty is out of this world. They will replace your machine if it goes out. And my mom has gone through probably 7 or 8 of them, and she sends it in, and they send her back a new one
You
because
are
this,
kidding.
that, and the other thing wrong with it. So then they fix those and they resell them. So they're not losing money because they're constantly just recycling everything. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing. And
that is amazing.
the one I have, I bought it off of eBay, and then within a year it went out. So I called them up and I said, "Hey, I did not buy this from you, but it is your mill." And they said, "Okay, well, send it in." So I sent it in. A few weeks later, I got a call and they said, "Okay, this, that, and the other thing was defective from the manufacturer, but you didn't order it from us, so we can't replace it for free. Would you like to pay $110 and get a new one?" And I said, "Yes, please." And
Yes, that's a deal. And a brand new one. Send it my way.
yes,
That's a great tip for people wanting to do a little bit more with their bread baking to be able to find fresh grain and grind their own. That's a great tip and to know a good brand. I'll have to post that on my website under the shop page so
yes.
that we can have a good grain mill. I do not have one of those yet. I don't think we've ever talked about that on here. So that's a fabulous tip.
If you look up Sue Becker, she has several podcasts out. She's been on several podcasts, rephrase that, talking about the importance of fresh ground flour and how nutrient dense it is. And most flour, by the time it hits the shelves, is rancid, and there's really no nutritional value in it. If it's white flour, the nutrition has already been removed. But with whole wheat flour, everybody's like, "Oh, that's healthier for you." But at the same time, not really, because there still aren't any nutrients in it because they've died. It has a shelf life of 6 months, and
Okay.
like that's from fresh to when it's done.
And you're not sure how long it's taken to actually get to the store and
Exactly.
you buy it. I know on the bag it says sometimes if you refrigerate it, it'll last longer.
Yes,
But
for me, I if I have extra flour left over, I actually put it in the freezer because that really
okay.
slows down that nutrient loss. So I put it in the
Hmm.
freezer, and then I just like if I am making biscuits, because to make the fluffiest biscuits, you have to use cold flour. Like everything has to be cold. So I take and I use my cold flour and cold butter and my cold buttermilk, and they come out the tallest, fluffiest biscuits you've ever seen every time.
Okay. You're giving us the hottest tips that are out there because I don't actually think I use cold flour. I know what you're saying though. When you make biscuits or scones, you do have to make sure your butter is super cold and your cream, if you're using cream, is super cold or buttermilk. But I haven't actually refrigerated the flour. No wonder your biscuits look better than my biscuits. I am going to have to start putting my flour in the freezer before doing a biscuit bake.
Yeah. A lot of people that buy flour will now put it in the freezer because like I said, it does slow down that nutrient loss. So if you when you buy your flour, just stick it in your freezer until you're ready to use it.
Yeah. Okay. Great tips. Before we move forward, a big thank you to the sponsors for supporting today's episode. Have you ever thought about how much science is involved in cooking? Chemistry, physics, and biology are at play all over your kitchen, on the cutting board, in the mixing bowl, on the stovetop, and in the oven. Inquisicook is on a mission to show students that science can be relevant, fascinating, and delicious, all while teaching an essential life skill. Inquisicook begins with the basics of food science and culinary arts, then adds skills and concepts in a carefully crafted sequence that leads to proficiency. Best of all, the principles can be applied to any cuisine, any available foods, and any dietary restrictions. So when it's time for people to come over for dinner, the options are endless. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. Back to your menu. Do you use any shortcuts or time savers when you're thinking about having a whole host of people over? I know when you sign up for your home rotation through your church, you're expecting a lot of people, possibly. I mean, you don't really know how many, like you said, how many people will show up, but maybe you've already invited a couple of other families. So I'm guessing if they're coming over right after church, you've prepared the day before. So give us some hints on how you have things done ahead of time.
So I always make sure that I have the dessert made the day before because that's kind of one of those things that's easy to whip up on Saturday before Sunday. And and then I also will cook the meat the night before. So I have a big roaster pan and I can fit 3 roasts or 3 small chickens in it and I'll put that in the oven when I go to bed. Cooks all night at 170 degrees and it comes out in the morning just the oh, it's amazing. It's falling off the bone, so moist. People have said, "How do you get your chicken to not be dry?" Like we just cook it very slowly all night long in the water, and it turns into broth, and it is amazing.
That's incredible. That sounds delicious.
I have done lasagna before, and for that, I prepped it all the night before. Made 3 huge pans of lasagna. Prepped it the night before, and just stuck it in the fridge, and then I pulled it out and put it in the oven when I got home. I felt though like it was a lot of work to to do, and so I haven't done that since. And we ended up with a ton of leftovers, which is good because I take meals to people at church when they've had babies, somebody's sick, any of that. And so having leftovers is great because leftovers in my freezer. Somebody's sick, somebody's had a baby, pull them out of my freezer, take them to whoever needs it, and it works well. But I had so much lasagna left that we were eating it for the next like 3 days.
Week. So when you say it was so much work, was it just you were anticipating a lot of people that didn't show up, or was it just harder to do ahead of time versus you just doing it as you're
It was
about to put it in the
it was
oven?
more time consuming doing it the day before. It felt like because of all the prep work that goes in. So I made the noodles, I made the pans of lasagna, and then the next day we still had to wait for 40 minutes for it to cook. 30 minutes, 40 minutes to cook because it's cold, so it's going to take a bit longer. And I just felt like the time to table took longer. Whereas
Hmm.
I mix it up that day and I put it in the oven, we're ready to eat. And then,
Yeah, it's all at room temperature, so it'll cook better,
yes.
cook
So I just felt
faster.
like the time to eating was a lot longer. And I don't like making
Mm,
people wait too long to eat. I just feel like it's not that hospitable.
right. Everybody's starving, looking at you with real hungry eyes.
Yes. People are like,
when
"This
is
healthy?"
when is dinner going to be ready? Well, and you sure don't want to serve them something cold in the middle.
I
You
know.
know, they're like,
Yes.
that's kind of the worst.
Yes. Yeah. So in the winters, I tend to do a lot of soups when I'm serving people. It's easy. I can make a huge pot of soup, freezes really well afterwards if I need to, and they're always a hit. And no matter what soup, everybody likes it. So my
Yeah,
favorite,
soup is amazing.
yeah, my favorite's actually I do a potato corn chowder and I use leftover cheese sauce and I put it in there.
Okay, well, have you done the measurements for this recipe?
I,
Because if not, you need to get in the kitchen and start measuring things. Potato, corn chowder, and cheese sauce. That
yes.
sounds great. And that would be a hit with kids. All of those ingredients kids are usually fond of.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, wonderful tips. What about a prep tip when you're getting your home ready for people coming over? Do you have any prep tips for us?
When I'm getting the house ready. So my biggest prep tip is that I keep it mostly organized, orderly, not organized, orderly
Hmm. Yes.
all the time. The main areas of our house. And this last week I spent a ton of time in the basement because the basement was a wreck. But I don't normally see the basement. And it's a children's play area. So all their games, all their toys are down here. And I just this week I organized it and I said, okay, my tip that I have just come up with after doing this for a long time is that I put all of the toys in different bins. And then I'm going to take those bins and I take them off the shelf when we have company coming and only leave a certain amount of toys out. Less cleanup for the kids to do because that's one of the biggest things they complain about. It's like, oh, they got all
Hmm.
the toys out and they're all mixed together and now we got to sort them out. So, okay, I'm going to do this. We're going to do it to where we just leave out, we have Fisher Price toys, we have Duplo blocks, and dress up clothes. Like that's it. Easy cleanup. The kids aren't saying, oh, now all the cars are mixed in and the play food and all this, that, and the other thing. So we take all those off the shelves and we put them in a room that the kids don't go into and the doors are locked. And that makes cleanup easier. That's my theory. We haven't tried it yet because I just did it.
Well, that's a great idea. It limits the amount of chaos, and
Yes.
they still have plenty to play with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not like we're skimping them on toys. We're just skimping on amount of mess.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you can switch it up if you do happen to have the same families over. It's like, well, they played with the blocks last time, so
Yeah.
now we're going to pull out the play food in the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
So,
great.
but yeah, keeping the house mostly clean. Like every Friday, I have my cleaning day. Kids help me. They have different areas that they work on, and that makes a huge difference. Just having a focused, okay, Friday, my kitchen is clean because we could be hosting on Sunday. We could have people over, Sunday evening, but my house is clean. So that and bathrooms. So bathrooms get cleaned every Friday. My kitchen is clean from top to bottom, like cabinets and everything. The stove, floors are supposed to be mopped. They don't always get mopped, but they're supposed to be mopped. And everything
That's the goal.
yeah, the goal. Everything is vacuumed, and the kids have different sections that they work on, and that makes a big difference. Just making sure everything is tidy all the time, instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna host this week, and my house looks like this. Oh no,
Right.
I'm gonna do
Like a
it.
tornado went through.
Yeah. So just keeping
How,
that that schedule has really made a difference.
yeah. How do you teach your children to not leave things behind? Because I think a lot of times it's the habits of kids, well, adults too, but habits of kids to leave a little trail as they go. They come in and they shed their coat and then they kick their shoes off. And then you see some socks along the way. And then there's a cup that they were drinking out of. And with 8 children, that in 5 minutes creates a whole cleanup day.
Yes.
How do you instill that in them?
So that is still a work in progress. And if you have any tips, I would love to hear them because I have some children where it is, you can literally follow them around the house and know where they have been by the amount of stuff that's there. And I keep calling them back. Hey, you left this here. Hey, you left that there. And I actually feel like I was more on top of it in the camper because it was such a small space. It was, you got to tow the toys out, put them away. You may not get anything else out or go outside until this is cleaned up because we couldn't have stuff in the way. Here, it's
Mhm.
not that way. It's like, oh, they left it on the sunroom table. Oh, their bedrooms a mess. Oh, the basement's a mess because they played here, there, and everywhere, and then they left everything. So yeah, it's still one of those works in progress, which organizing everything so everything has a place,
Right.
and then they don't have an excuse. And then my husband said we're going to come up with a plan. So we haven't done that yet.
Like a schedule where they know where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be working on. In like on your Friday cleaning schedule, they know, okay, I'm the bathroom this week or something like that.
We do have a chore list for the kids, which, basic make your bed and put your pajamas away first thing in the morning. And then they have different chores that they do. And one of them after lunch is supposed to be you clean up your room. But the other thing is I have to still stay on top of them and say, okay, did you get your room cleaned up? Did you put away your pajamas? And then have to go in and inspect it. So we did come up with a chocolate system to reward them for doing their chores, which works really
Oh,
well.
that's fun.
But the mess is still, yeah, it's still work in progress. Making
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. And with the ages of your children, I think that that is so normal. And when you were asking for my tips, I think you've given them. My tip would be the consistency, realizing it is going to be a work in progress and you're giving them skills that they're going to be learning for years
Yes. Yes.
and perfecting for years and then taking with them and still learning and growing as they start different homes and different situations.
Yes.
But just having the ability to know how to do it and to recognize that to be a part of a family,
Yeah.
somebody's going to have to pick it up
Yeah.
and recognize it's a lot easier if you are
Yeah.
picking it, taking it with you when you go instead of having to come back and come back and come back. Some kids' personalities, it takes a lot longer than others to
Yes.
get that down.
Well, I've been working on her for probably 3 years now. And it's still the same thing. Why didn't you pick your pajamas up and put them on all you have to do is lay them on the end of your bed? Why did you just come home from church and kick your shoes off in the middle of the floor? I mean, your closet where your shoes go with the shelf that we have for you to put shoes on is right there. Yeah,
She
but
just kind of looks at you like, I don't know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually have 7 girls and 1 boy. So yes, it's
Oh, wow.
that I struggle with.
Well, as they get older, they will become more and more and more of a help and also have a stronger ability to recognize how to clean and how to clean quickly, especially when you're about to have a guest walk in the door.
Yes.
Well, good tips. Good tips. I think it's a fight, but keeping the house orderly at all times is a great goal to have. And there will be times when it's not, when the kids are actually playing and it does look like chaos, but then just having the skills to clean up afterwards is a great idea. And keeping things in bins. I have heard of a mom who was talking about how even for her own children, they would have bins and some of them would be up in the closet for a while and then they would switch them out. And I don't know how often, if it was every week or every few months, but they would switch them out and the kids would think it was like Christmas time, like,
Yes. Yes.
oh, because they hadn't seen him in a while.
Yep.
It's like, wow, the whatever is back. I haven't seen these. And they just kind of do a rotation and it kept the toys fresh instead of having everything out at once.
Yeah, yeah. My sister-in-law does that. And I do have some toys that are back. Like we have calico critters that they only pull out every now and then. The same with Lincoln logs. So it's like we do have other toys that are kind of away. And when they get those out, some of the other toys go away. The only problem is I always forget to come and switch the toys out because it's
Right.
another one more thing on my list. So
Sure.
I end up not doing it like I thought I would.
Well, you are a very busy mom. It sounds like you are doing a fabulous job, even if you're not consistently switching the toy bins out. All right. What about your best advice for making people feel welcome when they come into your home?
One of the ways that we try to do is we welcome them as they walk in the door. Like, well, my husband specifically says, "Welcome to our house. Welcome to our." And I'll tell them, "Hey, I'm glad you could come. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so glad that they took time out of their day to come see us." Right? It's not just us doing all the work. They also had to put in the work. A lot of them, they don't know who we are. They've never met us before. This is the first time, that they're actually meeting. I mean, we're strangers, and so they're stepping out of their comfort zone to visit somebody that they don't know. And so just thanking them for that, for being willing to step out of their comfort zone, basically, and say, you know, we're going to go to their house. We don't know who they are. We just met them 5 minutes ago, but hey, we're going to go see them. So yeah, just doing that, making them feel like they are wanted, they are welcome, and we want them there. The other thing is that my husband really, he's the one who came up with this, is we always have drinks set out and some slight appetizers. Because, you get home from church, you have to wait while the soup warms up, or, while you're finishing up getting the rest of the chicken pulled out of the oven or warmed back up a little bit. And so you have maybe half an hour before everything is set out and ready to eat. And my husband says, you know what? We should just have appetizers. So a lot of people do a Sabbath dinner. We don't do that, just with the way with our kids and everything. It's just a little too much right now. So what we do is we do a Sabbath breakfast. We have an English breakfast, just like my husband had growing up. We have scones, we have tea, we have eggs, just a nice fancy breakfast with whipped cream and everything. And we always have scones left over because I make extra. So we set out scones. Saturday night, we always have popcorn. Always have popcorn left over. So we set out scones. We have popcorn. A lot of times we'll pull out cheese and salami or meat of some form so people can snack while they're waiting for the actual meal to be ready. But the kids aren't going, I'm hungry every 2 minutes. Saturday night, we take baths, so we do our showers on Saturday. And then we have hot dogs and popcorn, something simple, something easy. So that way, if I'm prepping a meal for Sunday, it's not in the way. Like it's something
That makes sense.
right there on the stove. The kids my husband makes the popcorn and then I, cook up the hot dogs. So we can be doing that while we're giving baths, while we're making sure kids have finished showering and everybody's dressed for bed. And then we just sit down and try to chill and watch a movie. It's the only night during the week we watch a movie together.
It's fun.
It is. It is. And that's a carryover from when I grew up, though we always did it on Friday. We had Friday night and pizza. And we watched a movie. It was because growing up, we watched one movie a week. And that's kind of how our kids are now. So it's like one movie a week is plenty. And it's something they look forward to. But it also kind of just gives us a chance to decompress, kind of just chill, Sabbath. And we have popcorn left over from that we serve on Sunday for appetizers because little kids love to grab a cup full of popcorn. So we always have little small paper cups sitting next to the popcorn. They can fill the paper cups with popcorn. They can walk outside and they can eat it. And
while
then
they're waiting for this Sunday dinner or Sunday lunch.
Sunday lunch. And then we also will put out cheese and salami to go with the popcorn and scones.
Oh, that's so much fun. So is your popcorn just butter and salt, or do you do something fancy to it?
Butter and salt. No.
That's classic. That's the best.
My husband always makes sure it has plenty of butter on it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's really good popcorn.
Oh, is this homegrown or anything, or do you order some special popcorn kernels?
We just do organic yellow popcorn. So I do have popcorn that I'm going to grow, but my garden is still working.
I should have guessed you have a garden and you're also working to grow popcorn. Well, that's very fun. Okay, we forgot to talk about dessert. You mentioned that you always like to have your dessert done ahead of time. But I forgot to ask you, what do you serve for dessert?
So I will do one of two things. My daughters are really good at baking. And my second daughter, Sharon, she absolutely loves to make cookies. Like that is her thing. She just loves baking and cookies is like up there, way up there. And so sometimes I'll have her make cookies on Friday and then we'll serve them on Sunday, or I'll have them make them on Saturday and we serve them on Sunday. And the other thing is I'll make pumpkin bars with cream cheese frosting on them. Another recipe that my mom got from somebody who didn't measure. So she measures like you did with your rice. And she would just dump everything.
It looks good.
Yes.
With baking, that's tricky now. You might get into trouble with baking, but she probably did it so many times she could pull it off.
Yes. She would dump everything in and it would turn out amazing. And everybody would say, we need your recipe. And she'd say, I don't have a recipe. I just dump everything in. So one of the ladies from church went over to her house and said, okay, we're going to make this, this, and this, and this. And so she was there and the lady would go to dump stuff and no, we're going to measure that first. And they would measure. So they got recipes from that.
That's amazing.
And my favorite recipe is pumpkin bars, which I don't just use pumpkin for. I use butternut squash, any type of squash, really. I've done sweet potatoes. It's really nice because they can turn out light and fluffy, but they're not heavy like after a meal. You don't want something that's just like, oh, dessert. Oh, that was too much. And then, with the cream cheese frosting, with sucanat sugar on top, it's amazing.
Now, do you cook your squash or pumpkin fresh, or do you ever use the canned pumpkin?
I have used canned pumpkin, yes. If I'm in a hurry and I don't want to thaw the stuff I have in the freezer, then I will use canned pumpkin or canned butter. I like to eat both of those.
Yeah, you also could, if you did do sweet potatoes or squash or something,
Mhm.
you could roast it and measure it out and freeze that. All of that freezes really
Yes,
well, I
yes, I do
think.
actually. Yeah, so I'll get a whole bunch at one time, and I'll take a batch and cook them up, and then I'll freeze them, puree them, and freeze them, and then sometimes I'll just take some of that fresh stuff and use it if it's
Hmm.
on a Saturday throughout the day. I just
Yeah.
pop one in the oven and then pull it out and pop the next one in, and yeah, I make quite a bit that way.
Pumpkin out of a can is actually pretty good. I
Oh,
mean, it's not, I'm sure if I compared them side by side, I would say it's not as good,
yeah,
but for a time saver, it's pretty easy to put that into
yeah,
a dessert and it turns out okay.
yep. Especially when you don't have time to thaw the stuff that you already prepared that's in the freezer.
Right. Yeah, the texture is not quite as good. Speaking of desserts, I have a top recommend. I just made the most amazing lemon cheesecake with homemade lemon curd, and I could not believe how easy it was. I'm sure you've made homemade lemon curd. I don't know if I have before, and it was
Uh,
the easiest thing ever, but it was the most delicious thing ever. We were supposed to be saving it for the top of the cheesecake, but it made more than you needed.
yes,
So
yes,
my son and I kept eating it by the spoonful. Well, just save at least half, what I kept telling him. But it was so delicious. I will have to post this recipe too because it was 10 out of 10 cheesecake. I could not believe how much we liked it. And it was one that you can make ahead of time. In fact, you need to make it ahead of
yeah,
time because it is supposed to sit in the refrigerator overnight. The lemon curd can sit in the refrigerator overnight. It can stay in the fridge for a few days. You
yeah,
can also freeze it. Once I made it, I'm like, this is going to be one of my top go to hospitality recipes
yes,
because it just checks all the boxes. You can put whipped cream with it. You can put berries or not. You don't even have to. And my son came over to eat and he didn't even want the lemon curd on top. He was like, just the cheesecake is just by itself. This is perfect. The lemon curd would mess it up. I'm like, no, the lemon curd would make it even better. So we had this little debate and I think I made him try a bite with lemon curd because it just, oh, it set it over the top.
yes, yeah.
Anyway,
Lemon curd is also really good on scones, especially berry scones.
yes.
So good. And yeah, homemade is absolutely the bomb.
Yes. Like you said, with the extra, it's so simple to make. That would really elevate scones,
Yeah.
especially on your Sunday breakfast, your Sabbath breakfast. That would be
Yes.
delicious to have on the side.
Yes.
All right, well, let's move to your favorite kitchen item or items. Do you have any must haves that we need to know about?
Other than the pasta machine.
Other than the pasta machine, we've already put a plug in for one thing.
Yes, I love my Danish whisk. It makes my muffins so delicious.
Okay,
And
what's a
I make
Danish whisk?
so it looks really odd. People use it for sourdough now. I actually don't use it for sourdough. I use a big fat wooden spoon for my sourdough. But the Danish whisk, it's got a long wooden handle and then it's kind of shaped like a circle, but then it's got like another circle inside. And sometimes there'll be different shapes. Like the inside will be a heart. I think I saw one on Amazon where they had a heart on the inside. So you can make them, they can look really pretty. But no, they just take and they scrape the bottom while you're mixing it so that you end up without having unmixed flour, which a lot of times, you're making muffins and you get down to the bottom and, oh, I wonder what was in there that we needed in the rest of the muffins.
I
So,
have seen that for sourdough use, but I didn't remember that that was what it was called. But you use it all the time for baking?
yes, yes. And I actually don't even use it for sourdough. My mom found it somewhere when I was growing up, and we used it for muffins and mostly just muffins, I guess. Muffins, if we're mixing up a cake by hand, something like that, because it puts air into the dough. And so
Okay.
it doesn't overmix it. And so
Uh-huh.
you're mixing it, you're putting in air and it scrapes the bottom and gets all of that stuff off of the bottom, all the extra flour and sugar off the bottom. And so it ends up blending it so nicely.
I'll have to put a link for that too. I am not a big fan of the giant balloon whisks because they don't seem to do
I
a
don't,
good job. They're hard to use. I have more of a flat whisk.
mhm.
It's not exactly a Danish whisk, but
Yes.
I like it so much more. It's what I use all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are nice too. I find I prefer the Danish because it has a nice sturdy handle and you're not worried about breaking it because, it's a wooden one. And
Hmm.
it's easy, it's light and easy to use. And so when you're mixing, you're not having all those extra prongs in there. It's more of a, oh, this is easy enough to mix that even my children
Right.
use it and it's not too hard for them.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to try one. Any other recommendations or did we cover them all?
I had one more. for when I'm making muffins or cupcakes, whichever one you're making, I use it's like a cookie scoop, but it's bigger. So it's about that big. And you scoop up your dough and you clip the end, squeeze it, and it drops the perfect size muffin into your muffin cup.
Like a trigger,
Yeah, it's one of
trigger
the
scoop.
trigger ones. I have a Pampered Chef one. And so, yeah, you just pick up your dough with it and you squeeze it, and out plops the perfect amount of dough right into your muffin cup. And you don't have to use a spoon. It's a lot less messier and it makes it faster.
Oh, this is how I've done it for years, actually. I'm just so glad to meet a fellow scoop trigger handle user for muffins and cupcakes, because not only does it do all the things you said, but it makes them so uniform and beautiful.
Mhm.
You don't have some that have less batter and some that have more batter, and one's kind of overcooked and this one's a little undercooked or whatever.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so fast. It's so easy. They're uniform.
yeah.
I cannot say enough good things about that method. So I
No,
appreciate that you brought that up.
no mess, which is also nice.
Hmm.
I mean, when my
And they're
kids,
so easy to clean.
yes, exactly. When my kids are doing it, they're still messing. But for the most part, there's not as much mess as there would be if they were using a spoon.
Right. And the spoon, you have to dip in there at least twice, maybe three times to get the right amount of batter. I guess maybe if you had a giant spoon, I don't know.
Then
I
you
just never could get the spoon down.
slide it off with your finger, and then your finger's dirty, and kids don't know, you don't lick your finger because it's,
Right.
and then reuse it.
So this is also another way of practicing hospitality to your guests.
Yeah.
Right, right. Having the kids use a cookie scoop or a muffin scoop. Honestly, mine might be called an ice cream scoop with a trigger handle, although it's not sturdy enough, I don't think, for ice cream. I only ever use it for either giant monster cookies or cupcakes or muffins.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great tips. Thank you for all of those fabulous kitchen items. We're going to have to put that on the shop page and refer to it when needed. What about a story from all your years of hospitality? Do you have any stories that you want to share?
There was one time, it was not long after we started doing the church hospitality thing here, and I went crazy inviting new people over. And then I'm in the car, and Dale's like, "So who's coming?" And I start listing everybody. And after a bit, he goes, "Are we going to have enough food?" I thought about it, and I was like, "We might not have enough food." So, because you can't just cook meat, I was doing roast, so well, you just can't cook meat that fast. So what am I going to do? And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to throw together a batch of cranberry orange muffins. And so I made a double batch of cranberry orange muffins, and they were totally decimated, and I still had a little bit of beef left. But there was enough to say that everybody ate what they needed.
Right. That's true. If you had any leftovers, that meant people were full. That's a great idea to come up with a filler, kind of bread or rice or pasta, anything like that would give people that extra little filling that they needed.
Well, I already had rice, so I didn't want to do more rice.
Well, cranberry orange muffins could go with dinner or be a dessert. I mean, you may have had a separate dessert, but those would be versatile. That sounds delicious. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
I use Sally's Baking Addiction. You've probably heard of that website. I use her
Hmm.
cranberry orange muffin recipe on there. I use a lot of her recipes. I do tweak them just a little bit because I like more salt in my stuff because I find it gives it more flavor. And she
What does again? Sorry, your voice kind of went out. What gives it more flavor?
salt. She tends to not put enough salt in, so I generally double her salt. And then
Okay.
yeah, I don't do the orange juice. She says orange juice, but I find orange flavoring gives it a much more orange taste to it. So that's what I do. I do orange flavoring and with the fresh cranberries. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Do you do orange extract or some kind of orange oil, or what
I
you
do
bring?
orange extract. I make it myself. There's every Christmas homemade cranberry sauce. So I just take all the orange peel that I have and I chop it up and I put it in vodka, and then it's ready by the spring.
Okay, I need this recipe to, I need
Oh,
to know how to do this.
it's
I
easy.
mean, I know it's not that hard, but
No, and the
similar to
first,
making vanilla extract, I'm
yes,
guessing.
exactly. And the first time I did, I thought, why in the world have I been buying orange extract all this time?
Oh, that would make amazing muffins. The taste would just be one you couldn't get
Yeah, yeah,
without that.
good.
And then fresh cranberries you can only find in the fall. So do you keep some in your freezer for other times of the year?
I do. I keep a stock in my freezer because my kids will eat them just straight out of the bag. but it's one of the go-to recipes I use for muffins. It's easy, fast to throw together, and it tastes so good. Just that mix of the tart and the orange is just it's just amazing.
Okay, I'm very picky about muffins. So I'm going to have to start putting some orange peels in a jar with some vodka. When the fall comes, I will be ready. Well, I don't know if I'll be ready. I have to have more time than that, but I'll get some cranberries, put them in my freezer. I'm going to try these. The Sally's Baking Addiction, I actually have recently discovered her as well. I haven't tried many of her recipes, but she is the one who created the lemon cheesecake recipe I was talking
Yes.
about.
Oh,
So
her.
I have faith that she can really pull off some things in the kitchen. I want to try some more of her recipes because I was impressed.
Yeah. If you're picky about your muffins, the other one of hers that I use all the time is lemon blueberry. I think it's called lemon blueberry cupcakes or muffins. I think it's cupcakes. And she also does a cream cheese frosting that you can put on. So a lot of times I'll make them for dinner because I do a lot of muffins for dinner. And just like an extra bread, just throw it on the table. Muffins mix up together really fast. I can have one of my girls mixing them up while I'm making the rest of dinner. And so I'll make the lemon blueberry muffins in the evening, and in the morning I put cream cheese on top of them, and they're breakfast.
These are great ideas. Did you say it was a cupcake or a muffin?
I think she titles it a cupcake.
It's funny because when we talk about muffins, sometimes they're so sweet that it's really, you're just making yourself feel good about eating a cupcake for breakfast.
Yeah, I like
And
her
if you,
because they're not as sweet.
I like that too. In fact, with some people, I kind of recognize, ooh, I'm going to cut the sugar back. Like I just made some ice cream and I literally decided to go ahead and make the base and just try it with half of the sugar that was recommended because it was just a small amount
Yeah.
of base that I was going to freeze. And it called for an entire cup of sugar.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I think that's a little too much. So anyway, I made it because you can always add more. And I tasted it and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes that's a hot tip. Just cut back on the sugar. But if she already does, then that's a great thing to know as well.
Yeah, growing up, the rule of thumb was any recipe, you cut the sugar in half. Just you don't need that much sugar. And I think part of it is the difference between I use raw sugar versus white sugar. And then the other thing is once you hit a certain amount of sugar, it doesn't like you just add more sugar, but there's not more flavor. So
Hmm.
rule of thumb growing up was cut sugar in half and it'll still taste just as good. And
Yeah. Well, and sometimes your other flavors come out more. They're
yes,
enhanced because you're not just hit with it. It's overly sweet.
yes,
Sometimes you can't eat much of something because it's so, so sweet.
yes,
And with her cheesecake, it was not that way. It was where
yes,
you could really eat a second piece if you were not too full from dinner.
yes.
Well, thank you so much, Anna, for joining me today. It's been so much fun to have you on and hear all of your tips, especially all of the different food options that you have come up with over the years. I am really hungry now.
I love food, and that's something my husband and I talk about a lot is food is not just fuel. It's also good. And God gave it to us, right? As something that is good. And he said everything, all the green herbs are for you. And I think a lot of times we forget that food is meant to taste good and we're to enjoy it and talk about it and just love food because it's good.
Absolutely. Well, what a blessing you are to your children. All right. Well, thanks, Anna. Until next time, bye for now.
All right, bye.